Namaskar. Is poetry an expression of a beautiful thought or a beautiful expression of a thought? Should poetry describe the truth harshly or describe the harsh truth gently? Is poetry a reflection of life or a life of reflection? Does poetry really act as a mirror that reflects the world's lived experiences? These are some of the questions I always asked whenever we planned a poetry class. One of my favorite poetry books is Axed Between the Years. Axed Between the Years, which was published in 1987, and it is a collection of poems and activities designed to win over the most reluctant 14 to 16-year-olds. The anthology is edited by David Kitchen, who in his introduction says, and I quote, "It is not easy to stick together a selection of poems that will please the teachers reading them. Putting together a selection which will please teachers and pupils is an altogether more troublesome task. The fact is that they don't always have the same tastes. My reaction to the problem has been biased. It's the pupils who have to read the poems, have to discuss them, have to write about them. So it's the pupils who deserve the first say. I hope this doesn't obscure the fact that at the heart of this book is a collection of poems that have evoked strong positive response from pupils. Let's face it, most poems have as much effect in a classroom as a feather dropping from a great height on an elephant's back. I hope some of these fall more like an axe between the ears." Unquote. And so here is a poem from this anthology that is like an axe between the ears. The title is The Lesson. It was written by Roger McGough, an English poet, broadcaster, children's author, and playwright. Now, over the years, I have read and shared this poem several schools in India and a few abroad, and the result has always been the same. More or less been the same. A deep, unnerving silence from the students, followed by tears from some. Now, there is a reason I am reading this poem, I think after a very long time. It is a poem that raises the question, should there be capital punishment in schools? Should there be capital punishment from the government? I think it will strike a chord with many who are following police brutality at Jantar Mantar on all the students who are protesting against the government. Think about this. Think about what the poem is saying and how relevant it is even today. And the poem goes on to say, chaos ruled okay in the classroom as bravely the teacher walked in. The Nooligans ignored him. His voice was lost in the din. The theme for today is violence, and homework will be set. I'm going to teach you a lesson, one that you will never forget. He picked on a boy who was shouting and throttled him then and there, then garroted the girl behind him, the one with the grotty hair. Then, sword in hand, he hacked his way between the chatting rows. First come, first served, he claimed. Fingers, feet, or toes. He threw the sword at a latecomer. It struck with deadly aim. Then, pulling out a shotgun, he continued with his game. The first blast cleared the back row, where those whose skill hang out, they collapsed like rubber dinghies when the plug is pulled out. Please, may I leave the room, sir? A trembling vandal inquired. Of course you may, said the teacher, put the gun to his temple and fired. The headmaster popped her head around the door to see why a din was being made, nodded understandingly, then tossed in a grenade. And when the ammo was well spent, with blood on every chair, silence shuffled forward with its hands up in the air. The teacher surveyed the carnage, the dying and the dead. He waggled a finger severely. Now, let that be a lesson, he said. Unquote. I don't know how many are going to be wounded and beaten and tear-gassed. How many are going to be in trauma with what's going on at Jantar Mantar. Capital punishment is not only in the classrooms and in our houses and homes, it's always and also what the government does to it, young people. I will at some point of time share the gritty, raw and unpretentious style of Charles Bukowski. Till then, take care, raise your voice for the youth of our nation who are fighting for their education, for accountability. They can't be treated, they shouldn't be treated like this. Namaskar.